Hello everyone, in this video I'll be focusing on Rahu, or the North Node in the 12th house of your chart, and Ketu, or the South Node in the 6th house. I'll be focusing particularly on the opportunities that you may not have heard of before that are available with this placement. In addition, at the end of the video, I'll be focusing on the Dasha periods of these two shadow grahas. Right, so let's get started. So when we have Rahu in the 12th house, Ketu in the 6th house, there's no doubt it's a challenging axis. But here's the thing about it. It's a sort of back to front axis. Rahu is naturally more at home here in the 6th house, and Ketu more at home here in the 12th house. So this means that you need to find the place where you are at home, because it won't come easily. It's a lifetime struggle to find your place, your spot, your career, your relationships, and sort things out for you in this life. That's what I've seen. So I'm now going to give you some pointers to that, and I hope this will resolve for you some of the issues with this rather difficult placement, which, as I say, has a silver lining. So let's go. All right. So when we have Ketu in the 6th house of our charts, we have to be mindful of a conflicting situation. Ketu is spirituality, 6th house is everyday, mundane, routine and such things. So therefore, there is a conflict in your mind. You want to escape because Ketu is escapism into spirituality from these things. And at the same time, here's the key, you have spent lifetimes dealing with mundane tasks, realities, and doing it very well. So you have dealt with the enemies, you have dealt with health issues, you have dealt with litigation aspects, you have dealt with even divorce, you have dealt with all sorts of family and public life conflicts. And you have come into this life with a heavy weight of those memories, and your deepest default position is escape. It's a sort of absolute default for you, and therefore you have to be mindful of how this can take you down a negative route. That is why this axis has got a negative history to it that needs to be overcome. Why is that? Because actually you are churning the ocean of your subconscious mind in this incarnation, because the 12th house, which is where Rahu is, and Rahu is the head of the snake, is churning the ocean of your subconscious mind to churn up all of the negativity and purify you. So it is a tough life to begin with, but it seriously gets better if you go with the flow of it and in a positive way. Here's some of the manifestations. Ketu here can give early illness, a childhood illness that isolates you. You can also have a separation from a parent, and this can be due to divorce or some form of litigation. There can also be strong, intense relationships with non-human forms, because Ketu here, that would strongly indicate a strong link to pets, and here Rahu has the same indication. Mainly though, you are here to deal with the nitty-gritty of life, and you do it very well. But here's the point, even though you are good at dealing with the 9 to 5 grind, somewhere deep inside you, you only want to escape from it. And that's where you've got to do it in a positive way. You are very much drawn to such work areas such as policing, law enforcement, detective work, criminal lawyer, nurses, doctors, psychotherapists, helping people who are maybe addicted to drugs, alcohol, anything where you are helping people who are under a lot of pressure from the everyday grind of life, because you yourself have a sympathy for them, because you also feel under that sort of pressure. And so, because of this, you have enormous compassion. It's one of the best things about this axis. I don't think it's emphasized enough. You have enormous compassion for people's suffering, and you need to use that in a good way. Negatively, you can feel overwhelmed by dealing with everyday mundane realities, washing up, doing the housework, doing the laundry, doing the chores, everything. It doesn't really matter, male or female, the everyday routine of life, getting up, getting dressed, going to work, coming back, same old, same old. This grinds you down. At the same time, you are good at dealing with all these little odds and ends that can, like emergencies. You're very good at dealing with emergencies. You're one of the best people to have around when it's an emergency. You're very, very practical. You're very down to earth. It doesn't really matter what the sign is here. You have that from a past life. You know how to deal with emergencies, and it just is, it's like an automatic thing. That is why you're very good in the police, law enforcement, hospitals, big organizations like that, schools, where you need to be able to think on your feet, sort things out. You're good at that. So stay positive about yourself. Don't think negatively, because Rahu is a force of Maya, and I'm going to talk how Rahu can drag you down into a negative route if you're not careful. And one of the good things for you, by the way, is non-human forms. You are very compassionate to non-human beings, and particularly to dogs, of course, because Ketu is here, and also maybe cats. It'll be one or the other. And Ketu is so fortunate if you get a black dog. But be very careful. Don't just get a black dog to help you. You have to have the mentality of you sort of rescue a dog and you help a dog. And that is a lifetime commitment, because that's what Ketu expects, that you sacrifice your own interests to really help non-human beings. A very good placement for a vegan or a vegetarian. So many people have this placement. Okay, let's now move on to really consider Rahu in the 12th house. So let's now consider Rahu in your 12th house. Don't become overwhelmed by this and think it must be negative. Rahu's negative, 12th house is negative. It doesn't work like that. It's almost like two negatives cancel out, because there are positivities in this house and positivities with Rahu. But let's just get the negative stuff over and done with. I've just been talking about how Ketu here can make you really have a default of escapism. That's because you are very sensitive to the sufferings in life. And you really have this feeling that you are here to do something more than just the mundane 9 to 5. Well, you are. Here's the key. You are here to voluntarily give of your time and energies to help other people. You are compassionate. Tune into it. Don't think of it as a negative route. It's a positive route. Now, I've just been discussing the sorts of jobs which you could be good at. Now, most of those jobs are about helping other people, and that's the right career for you, where you give of yourself selflessly. It's about your mentality. If you have the right mentality, that you are concerned about other people, not yourself, this axis works really well. It makes you a force for good in the world, and therefore you are using Rahu positively. Okay, because you can help all the other people with the addictions and the anxieties and the drug abuse and the alcohol abuse, rather than being one of them. You are helping them rather than going down that route yourself, which is an easy thing to happen sometimes. And that's because you do have this inner fear. Now, where is this fear? This is a very fearful mental state that overwhelms you sometimes. Where does it come from? It comes from your subconscious mind, and it comes from your past lives. This Rahu gives you intuition into your past lives. And that's a very good thing if you think that you can learn from it. But most of us just can't deal with it. We just can't deal with knowing who we were and what we did, it's really not, necessary for us. I mean, we are not supposed to know those things. It doesn't help us to deal with our karmas in this life. But sometimes you gain access to those secrets with this Rahu, and it can be fearful to you. So be careful of that. E.g., one way in which you will certainly do that is in your dreams. This is the house of the bed and the house of dreams, subconscious mind. Rahu here amplifies that and gives you vivid dreams all of your life. You might be sort of person who keeps a dream book, beside the bed, or you're always going over the dreams in your head. And this is all for the good in a way, because it can give you clues to help you to understand where you've been and what may have happened. But you can become obsessed. That's a problem. And if you become obsessed with these things, it can unbalance you. The key to this whole access is the word balance. You've got to find the balance from where you need to go, where you need to explore, and everyday mundane life. You've got to find that very fine line and keep it steady, and all will be well. There's another area, though, to Rahu here, and that is theatre, film industry. Many famous people, famous actors, actresses, film directors, and so on, have this Rahu. Very often they are doing things selflessly. They are just concerned with doing really good art, not their name and fame. And that's the key to it all. It's not about name and fame. I want to mention Marilyn Monroe here because she had this axis. And of course, we all know that she had a really sorry end. And when you think about it, she had many of the childhood indicators here as well, but she didn't take the positivity of this position. And that was a sad thing. Many other things, of course, in her chart that, we cannot, be looking at here. But here's the thing I want to say. She was so talented as an actress, but she didn't believe in herself. And it's that self-belief that you have to maintain at all times. She was so talented, but she was so overwhelmed by her anxieties and her difficult relationships, as we know. So you really, really need to tune into the positivity. There are many other actors, by the way, sort of women and men who have this position, and they have not ended up like Marilyn. So it isn't a negative end, it's a positive thing if you go with the side of it about service, about doing things not for your name and fame. That's the key, because you may get name and fame, but if you get into name and fame, you are losing your karmic axis and it will become negative for you. Okay? And another area is actually writing, something that I've never seen really emphasized enough. Again, it's all coming from the subconscious mind. Many great novelists have emphasized how their themes just, sort of come to them in dreams, or how they just, sort of out of the blue, a character appears in their mind and starts to write the story. They don't have to write it. They have to grab their pen or whatever, the computer, and the story just writes itself. So if you have that sort of talent, absolutely, how fortunate you are. You have to go with that. That's what Rahu wants you to do. Okay? But it's a service thing, always a service thing. So don't go down the negative route of anxiety, self-depreciation, thinking that you're not as good as other people, all the negativity. Stay positive. And the way to do that, if you really want to go deep into this, I would say is karma yoga. This can give you such anxieties about life that you really benefit from a form of surrender. I'm not talking about that you need to be like a yogi, go off into the Himalayas, meditate and be on your own. But I'm just saying a certain amount of surrender to God or to your form of God is really important, because it relieves you of the anxieties. So, religious observation, charities, pilgrimage, all of these things are hugely beneficial for this Rahu. It keeps Rahu steady. It really does keep him busy, in doing these things, and he hasn't got time to go into the negativity. So stay busy, stay positive, stay active, and have a service mentality, and it's a superposition. Okay, let's move on to the dashas now. Okay, so when you have your Ketu Dasha early or late in life, it's going to be tricky. It's going to bring up the past karmas related to all those difficult areas. There probably will be some illness. There probably will be some conflicts with workers, co-workers, litigation. There may be real, relationship issues. It depends on the other grahas in your chart. But one thing for sure, you're going to struggle with your work situation, and you're going to struggle with your family in some way, because the 10th house and the 2nd house is implicated. Now, people think 5th aspect, 9th aspect, all positive, positive. Not in the Dasha period. It brings up the karmas that have brought you to take birth with this Ketu position. So there may be a change in your job. There may be family issues of really pressing concerns that you have to deal with. Okay? You just have to go with the flow of the Ketu Dasha, keeping in mind all the things I've been talking about and the areas of sort of work that are good for you. And please remember that your first job is not always the right one for you when you have this K2. And this might well be the time in your life when you finally find your real vocation in life. And as I've just been talking about, a vocation is the best thing for you. You do well when you work selflessly. So it's not an easy dasha. It's a work-related dasha, of family issues. Yes, there'll be all the 6th house issues, health, litigation, challenging relationships. It's a toughie. But when you get through it, you will be on the right route in your career more than lightly. If it happens very, very late in life, then it can be the end of your career, and there can be some serious family issues also. Okay, now let's move on to Rahu Dasha. So when you go into the actual Rahu Dasha, it's going to be tremendously transformative for you, but it won't be easy. That's the key thing. It's not an easy Dasha. Why is that? Well, that's because the 4th and the 8th house become activated hugely. On the positive side, there can be a move to a foreign land and a change of your home. There can be family concerns about your mother. There can be concerns about properties you own. There can be so many concerns about everything around your home situation. But attending to these details will be good for you. The 8th house can bring sudden changes in your life too. And again, it all depends where the Bhukti planets are, and of course what the actual grahas are here and the actual grahas here in your chart and in the D9. It needs a lot of exploration. But here's the main key, and here's the main theme. It's a change in your life because it's the 12th house of loss. There will be some feeling that the life you had before this Dasha began has gone. There will be very often that feeling that life has ended and you need to start afresh. And there can be so much confusion and anxiety to begin with at the beginning, particularly during the first year and a half or so of the Rahu period. Enormous anxiety, enormous confusion. Stay with it, stay calm, don't go down with the negativity of Rahu. Stay firm, pray to God, and stay focused, and your way will come through this time. I promise you, it will work out well. You just have to understand that what has left your life, and things have left your life when you begin the Rahu Dasha, was meant to go. So have that form of surrender in your mind, and it will work out well. Okay, I hope you all enjoyed this video and it gave you some useful information, perhaps things you haven't had before. Sub to my channel, starting out again. Like the video if it was good for you, and also leave a comment below. Okay, I'll be posting soon on Rahu in the 11th house and Ketu in your 5th house. Okay, goodbye for now.